All right, and we're live. Welcome everybody. Welcome to this live talk on spiritual connection and healing. That's right, today I'll be in conversation with my colleague, Mrs. Amari Dior, who's a pain management coach. I myself am Pierre-Etienne Vannier, the founder of the Healing Studio Online. I'm a mind-body practitioner specialized in stress management and trauma recovery via nervous system regulation, right? So welcome to you. We'll get started in a couple of minutes. Hello to you. Welcome. And so today, as mentioned, right, we're talking about spiritual connection and healing. We're going to take the next 20 to 30 minutes, discuss these issues, and as much as possible to keep it personal. Instead of getting lost into the theory, we'll try to keep it personal. Good morning, Amari.
Good afternoon for over there.
Yes, indeed. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
Doing well. Welcome, Sukud. Welcome, Big Polo 1982. Hello, everybody. So let's, today I was saying we're going to discuss spiritual connection and healing, right? It's something that we've been dancing around for a little bit, right? I think, and through a conversation, we've been like, yeah, let's go a little deeper here. So yeah, let's, why don't we take a couple of breaths before we get started, as always. Inviting everybody watching us live or watching this replay to do the same. All right, welcome. Maybe a little bit more, right? And yeah, Rina, is that the moon behind me? It's either the moon or my projector. I'm not on my light here. I'm not sure which one it is. It does look good. Look at this beautiful sunset. Welcome to Egypt.
Looks gorgeous.
So, spiritual connection and healing, right? How spirituality helps or hinders healing. What is spirituality? Without, pretending, at least I speak for myself, to do like a full comprehensive review of what is spirituality and the research out there. Again, I want to keep it more personal than anything, and also understanding, right, what is healing, because I know for me, it's a definition that continues to evolve. So yeah, right. Shall we get started?
Let's get started.
So why don't we, as always, why don't we define a little bit what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Spirituality, spiritual connection, or shall we, and healing, how these two concepts, right, are connected. Would you like to do the honor?
Yeah, let's start with what spirituality is to me. Okay, so spirituality for me is believing in God, believing that there was a creator that created me, that created everything, that is almighty, that is all powerful, that is all love. And by believing in this, it gives me a sense of protection, security, like true unconditional agape love. And it gives me faith in every single day that I step forward in my life.
Wow. Let's take a breath into that. I know I want to take a moment to let these words resonate, because these are powerful words that I resonate with. Like you said, you talked about strength and faith and trust. and believe in something that's greater, that's beyond. Um, would that be okay? Before I share some of my thoughts, would you like to share maybe just a little bit more personally what about your own journey, right, in that spiritual quest? Because I feel like with spirituality there's a movement, as far as I see it. There's a, and hopefully it's more an elevation, even though every now and then I speak for myself, it's like, it's ups and downs. But there's definitely something transcending, right? It's like, so would you mind sharing just a few words about your own?
When it comes down to me finding my journey as a chronic pain coach, and that's when the chronic pain started versus when I decided to start helping others. In the beginning, when I was in a space when my chronic pain came about after an accident, I was not very focused on my spirituality. I was really focused on what was happening here in my life, here on earth, and dealing with school, dealing with work, dealing with a second job, and just going through the motions, but not actively being grateful for the life that I had and the breath that I was breathing, and the opportunities that I was given every single day. That, for me, that was the lower part in my spirituality. And when the wall came crashing down on me and I was on a stretcher, I told my now husband, I said, why me? And at that moment, I'm so glad he's my husband now. We were dating at the time. He said, don't question God. Because I couldn't see beyond myself at the time. I could not see beyond myself. The world was happening to me. But I was not seeing, in a sense, that God works not just in my life, but he works in generations. He knows what the end is. He knows how every single thing will affect others. And it took me to climb my way out of the situation that I was in and make active decisions and begin to love myself, because within being able to love God and love others, you have to love yourself. And I realized I had to start loving myself. And I had been neglecting myself for a very long time. And even through the chronic pain, I was doing the societal shoulds. I should still have a job. I should still be in school. I should still be able to stretch myself thin for all the family members and friends that I have since I'm young. And my spirituality was still low. And one day I was doing this thing called catastrophizing, and if one thing went wrong, I thought the whole world around me was going to end. And my husband again stepped in and was like, you need to get your relationship with God together, because there is no fear when you have faith. And when I was in with chronic pain for years and years and years, pain is scary. It causes fear because I didn't know when the pain would end. I didn't know how it was going to ultimately affect my life. And I didn't know where my life was going. And so I had fear. Everything that I did was in fear. And when I decided to actively begin reading and find knowledge, not just use quotations that circle around the internet that people post, but to actually find my own understanding of God, my own understanding of what I wanted my spirituality to be, which is understanding, connection, prayer, worshiping, reciting every single scripture that I read. Now I wake up at 5 a.m. every morning and I read scripture, I rewrite my understanding, and then I pray over it. And I speak to God. And by doing that, there has been a tremendous amount of blessings in my life by just knowing that his hand is on me and feeling that and having this sense of purpose that everything's going to be okay. If things aren't good right now, I'm finding strength in it. if things aren't good for me right now, it's probably because it's going to affect somebody else in a better way. That was, yeah, that's my up and down.
There's already just so many things here that I'm resonating with. But maybe if I may, maybe here, since we're talking about spirituality and healing, and we refer to spirituality as something greater than us, right? There's a greater purpose. There's a, as far as I'm concerned, as part of that mind, body, spirit, body, mind, spirit connection, that sense of alignment. There's also a, like what, you know, you talked about, and at least that's what I heard, it's like stop questioning, right? It's like have faith, have trust. It's like there's a purpose, there's a reason. And that's interesting because also if we talk about spirituality and healing, what comes up for me is like when I work with people who were terminal, and this is not my specialty, you know, but still I've worked with some people who were terminal, and my definition and understanding of healing and spirituality was deeply impacted. Deeply impacted because I thought, well, you know, it's like healing means I should be like, you know, I should be in great physical and mental health, right? And unless there's something wrong with me. And you know, after having worked for so many years with people dealing with chronic issues, with chronic illnesses, with severe health challenges, for me, healing goes beyond health. When I work with people who were healing, even who were dying, they were healing as they were dying. And for me, this is something that was really challenging.
Wow.
Understand, because in that moment, the healing was not about the physical cells and so on and so forth. It was about that sense of peace. It was about finding that sense of trust and peace. And
wow.
You know, and I have in mind, you know, a client who passed away. May she rest in peace and eternal light. And when we hugged for the last time, you know, we knew, and it was just amazing, the serenity, you know, that even though we had been working for a while and she was struggling with a lot of demons, and in that moment, in that hug of like saying goodbye, as in like, you know, see you on the other side. You know, next week, you know, I'll come if you stay here, but, and so there was a sense of like seeking and finding a sense of peace with self, with others, and with my own pain. You know what I mean? And in that moment for me, that healing was so much greater than mind body, because I talk about mind body and I you know, portray myself as a mind body practitioner. But interestingly, after so many years, you know, my approach has evolved because it went from, and here I guess we're kind of transitioning into like what's happening today, at least as far as we experience it in the way we heal, in the way we help ourselves, others, right? Like healthcare, even though that's a touchy topic here, especially if we talk about the US. But
yeah,
for me, for so many years, there was a disconnection, a profound disconnection from the spiritual realm, from my own spirit, and therefore I was unable to accompany anybody, right, into that realm. And interestingly, and you've mentioned that it is the pain and suffering, my own pain and suffering, witnessing the pain and suffering of others, right, that kind of pushed me to for deeper reflection, for a higher reflection.
Yes.
Right? Is this making sense?
It makes total sense.
So here what I'm trying to say, and I know I had said, well, let's talk about, you know, how spirituality hinders or helps. in a few words, I want to say, well, yeah, maybe spirituality slash religion may hinder in the sense that, maybe you're being offered a treatment and you're like, I don't want that treatment. And so when you look at literature, people might be like, well, look at, their beliefs is preventing them from healing. But again, what is your definition of healing? Right?
Yeah.
So for me, I understand how religion and spirituality may be perceived as getting in the way, but then again, I feel like there's so many beyond the literature, right? Because the scientific literature, yes, for a few decades, okay, we've been like, yes, there is maybe, like I was looking it up, maybe 3,000 studies showing how, religion helps people to, have a beneficial effect on health and blah, 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 and blah, blah. But I want to go beyond that whole, like, oh, research shows that, blah, blah, blah. Like,
superficial.
Can we go before that, like for thousands since the existence of mankind, right? There's been that search, that quest, that thirst for connection. And so what I'm in, just to finish my thought, for me, I'm frustrated, and I think it's my own frustration at myself, but because for so many years it was so clinical. It was so, well, let's look at your body and your mind, but there was really a piece missing. Like my own personal practice, personal healing, and therefore the way I was practicing with people was limited and limiting because it was sterile. It was sterile. We had the body as a machine, right? And this is what's happening, and therefore this is what we need to do to fix it, as if we knew, right? What necessarily what is, what is best for us. So I think here that's so sad because, like you said, in that surrender, I mean, when you think like that's what I heard when you talked about, that sense of trust, that sense of like, I'm going to let go of that fear. Exactly. Right? And as a practitioner, when I have somebody letting go of fear, when I let go of fear, this is when I move from that survival response to like that healing response.
Exactly.
How paradoxical and yet powerful is that?
Exactly. That was really beautiful.
So just before I send it over back to you, just reminding people here, I'm in conversation with Amari Dior and Pierre-Etienne, and we're talking about spiritual connection and healing. Welcome Vivi Yogi, welcome Big Polo and everybody. Any thoughts? Sorry, I was ranting here, but...
No, you weren't ranting, and that what stuck with me was the understanding that we have about healing. Because for a very long time, I believe that the healing process, like scientifically, what I learned in school was the healing process is just getting rid of disease, having this amazing optimal health, and that's what healing is. And if I get sick, then I'm not healing, and if I overcome the sickness, I healed. And that was just the physical. And as I'm learning and speaking with others and coaching others with pain and coaching myself with pain, I'm understanding that in order to feel better for me physically, then I have to do that reflection. I have to release. I have to begin breathing again into my spirituality. And just a quick reflection, as you were speaking, I was thinking about my experience when my spirituality was low and not strong versus now. And when I was trying to figure out how to heal. And I realized that for the longest time, for years and years and years, with chronic pain, I wasn't breathing. I had this shallow breath, and I had so much fear, and that fear was causing the tightness in my chest and not to be able to breathe that well. And when I finally released that fear and chose faith, I began breathing. I began being present in my life. I began seeing every blessing that I had and every opportunity that was given to me. And I let go of that fear of what if. Because at the end of the day, we never know what that if is, you know? Thank you for sharing that.
No, I mean, and thank you for sharing that as well, because I want to go back here, right, on what you said earlier around if I love God, I love myself, because that stuck with me. A friend of mine, were reminded me or made me aware of the fact that oftentimes I will externalize. I will externalize God, right? It's well, thank God. And he, and at some point, it was like, well, but yeah, but it's, thank God. Like
Yeah.
it's also here, and that's a journey for me also, because like you said, like some of my pain, some of my diseases, and I've seen that in other people, their diseases, their challenges, their pain was the reason for, paradoxically, was the reason for their healing, for their ability to go beyond, right, to rise to that high level of functioning. There's just whoosh, like big slap in the face saying, just wake up, like
Yeah.
you're more than that, right? You're more than just that little tiny version, scared version of yourself.
Right.
And to me, that again, the words of Rumi resonate when he's like, stop. It's like, stop acting so small. You're the universe in ecstatic motion. And I often remind myself of that. I remind my clients of that, because I like you said, let's stop being. I should stop being so small, because I'm the universe in ecstatic motion. And so for me, that process of healing and helping people heal, again, if we're to go back and circle back to the definition of healing, it is also about being more complete, right? There's a sense of like, I'm integrating all of myself. I'm becoming a fuller version of myself.
Exactly.
How can I be a fuller version of myself if I'm disconnected from such a huge part? As far as I see it, right? I'm not gonna proselytize. I'm not gonna, I'm just saying, for me, my own experience is that when I stopped acting so small, and when I was like, I'm divine.
Yeah.
And this part of me was, who wants to minimize it and poo-poo it, that hurt, scared version of me, this little Pierre-Etienne, whatever it is that I'm still dealing with. And yet I'm divine. And when people remind themselves that we're divine, then what happens? Like you said, like there's a greater, at least I speak for myself, a sense of greatness, of being visible, of being, like you said, of having just resources that are infinite.
Right.
Infinite. When I tell my clients you're designed to heal, when there's something I repeat often, right? Because I guess I need to hear it, they need to hear it. That's a useful reminder as far as I'm concerned.
It's a beautiful affirmation.
What a powerful affirmation. You're designed to heal. And I think we've talked about that briefly before. It's like, well, let's just get out of the way. Just get out of the way. Get that fear out of the way. Let that nervous system come back into balance, right? Because in that surrender to that higher power, which is not a giving up, right? It's a surrender.
Exactly.
There's a we start to reduce the activation. And once again, it's like, doors open.
Yeah.
Right?
That's how I felt. That was perfect. That was perfect. Thank you.
No, so we have another 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll. So anything you'd like to share before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I came to a point in my life this year where I decided spirituality has to be a part of healing. And I'm so glad that I'm so glad that you talked about body, mind, spirit. Because so many times we get caught up in what's going on in the body, and when I would get caught up in what was happening to me physically, I was losing my focus on my spirituality. And by turning my focus to my spirituality, I was actually able to deal with mental, mind and body. So that was really beautiful. And I just want to say to anyone out there that has any pain or that is stressed about their healing journey, consider all parts of who you are.
Yeah. And I want to add to that, because I'm reflecting on my own personal experience, that also when I dove deeper into meditation, eventually my meditation, which started in a way that was clinical, became spiritual. No, it wasn't my intention, and maybe we can have another conversation another day, but going deeper and deeper into myself, that's when I was like, wow, this is so much bigger than what I thought, right? And I'm gonna say that, you know, checking my ego, I'm so much greater than what I thought, right? I'm so much more capable of what I thought. And so for me, that the work, you know, my grandmother always tells me, my 96 years old grandmother was speak to regularly, who's seen a lot of life and pain, always tells me, oh, your work is so hard. And I'm like, my work is so beautiful, because the pain is an opportunity and a reminder, right, to awaken, right, to what is more true, what is more real for me. That my work and my spiritual growth, you know, went like this, and slowly, eventually, I feel like, you know, they kind of integrating, or maybe I'm integrating. I'd like to think, knock on wood, but that it's, you know, there's a sense of alignment. And I love your call, and I want to echo what you said to everybody who's watching, who's dealing with pain, who's dealing with fear. Take a moment to sit with it. Take a moment to surrender to it instead of pushing, fighting, right? You are designed to heal. We are designed to heal. And from that belief, right, come miracles, right?
Exactly.
I work in the field of, you know, cancer recovery. I've been working in that field for a long time. How do you explain radical, like, I mean, remissions, right? Spontaneous remissions. How, right? Doctors are like, oh, we don't know. This is weird. No, it's not weird. It's out of the field of how we practice medicine today. And yet, right, this is for me. So we call it spontaneous remission. I call that a miracle, right?
Yeah.
And so I think from the moment we've let go of that ego, and like you said beautifully, when we start to consider all of ourselves, you know, miracles happen.
Exactly. Thank you, Pierre.
Thank you so much, Amari. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We will be back next week for another topic. If you have any questions, feel free to hit us up. Send us some questions that you may have, and we'll cover them together. Be well, everybody. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
All right. Thanks, Amari. Thanks, everybody. Cheers.